short, we are going to build a table again. Quadratics have patterns. Do you remember what shape they make? They make that U shape. It's a parabola. So when we graph these, they are going to be a parabola because two x's, when they're multiplied together, make x squared. There's two x's, it'll make the U shape. I'm going to place x and y. I'm going to plug in -4 to +4. Into my equation, and I'm placing the x.
Wait, why did you start at -4?
I'm going all the way across the graph. I'm just plugging in a bunch of numbers because do you guys know what the pattern is? There will be a pattern, but I'm going to use a table to find it. So when I do parenthesis, I have a +3, close. Then I have an x plus a 1, close. I'm going to plug a -4 into both locations where the x is. I'm just plugging in a 4 there and there. That gives me a 3. Then I change it to a -3. I have to make sure both of them match. 0, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Okay, now that's going off my graph. I can stop. Two went off my graph. I'm going to plot my points. -4 is up 3. -3 is at 0. -2 is down 1. -1 is at 0. 0 is up 3. 1 is up 8, if I really want to plot it. Then I graph my parabola. You do not have to put all 5 dots on your graph today. Today, you only have to graph the parabola and then submit. It will ask you for the vertex. I'm going to make that a y. Y-intercept and the x-intercept. You may pull it from the table, or you may pull it from the graph and even the equation if you see the pattern. Your vertex, whenever I see matching numbers, the middle is my vertex, which is right here. My y-intercept is where it touches the y-axis, which is at 0, 3. The x-intercepts are where it touches the x-axis. How many of them are there that touch the x-axis? 2. There are 2 points, so I will have to write that there is a point at -3, 0 and at -1, 0. Do you see a pattern that I could use to help me shorten how big my graph needs to be? Zoom in on a window of that table so I don't have to plug in all the numbers. Okay. If you don't see a pattern, I'm just gonna keep building tables. I'm gonna do the same thing. Yeah,
So how'd you get the vertex for the first one?
for the first one.
Yeah.
Do you see how the pattern right here, how it goes 3, 0, -1, and then it starts to repeat?
Yeah.
That center part where it's between the section where it starts to repeat, that's where it is the bottom or the top.
So where did you start out? Like, how did you get a starting point?
I randomly picked -4 to +4, and I just started plugging numbers in until I see a pattern. If I don't see a pattern, then that means I picked the wrong window and I need to shift to perspective of where I'm looking. So if this pattern does not happen, where it repeats, you are off. The vertex is somewhere else. All right, let's build a table for the second one. I'm going to do the same thing and start at -4 because I'm just going to check and see if my U shape is in the middle. I'm going to see if it fits in the middle here somewhere. -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. You can get it. So I have my x value, which I'm going to replace with a -4. Parenthesis. I plug in a -4 and then -4 from that and close. That makes 32. Then I'm going to change it to -3. 21. Those won't even fit on my graph, so you could skip plugging in numbers if they're too big. 12 is getting closer to fit. Change them to -1s. And I'll make it a 0. And a 1. Do you see any repeat yet? No numbers have repeated yet, so I have to keep going.
There we go.
Starting to repeat. So if I want a shortcut, as soon as I see -3 again, what should 4 be without me even plugging it in?
0.
0. They should match and match. I'm going to graph my points. Those won't all fit. I'm just going to go for my vertex. 0, 0, 1 down 3, 2 down 4, 3 down 3, 4, 0. Okay. Where is the vertex? You can use the table or the graph.
-4.
Okay. 2, -4 is my vertex. It's the point where I have my maximum or my minimum. The lowest point where the two pieces come together, that's your vertex. What is the y-intercept?
0, 0.
0, 0. And my x-intercepts, guess what? There's an overlap. it will be at 0, 0, and 4, 0. Looks kind of weird. But do you remember yesterday's assignment, how we used a pattern later on? You can build tables for your entire test. If you take the whole test and you're just plugging numbers in and building it through tables, it will work. You can build tables to graph anything. All right, bottom left graph. I'm going to build a table. When I build this table, I'm going to show you a little helpful tip. Do you see how this is a positive 3? Where was my x-intercept at?
-3.
See, this is a +1. Where was my other x-intercept at?
-1.
They're at the opposite of them. This one was at 0 and +4. This can help guide what numbers I plug in. What would make this become a 0 if I plug it in? What +5 makes a 0?
5.
A -5. So I'm going to start at -5, -4, -3, -2. So the reason I started with -5 rather than my -4s is because this bigger value, I want to make sure I find what it equals. I have a 2 parenthesis, -5 + 5 close, and a -5 plus a 3 close. 0. Then I change it to a -4. Change it to a -3. If I have a -3, these will cancel out and make a 0. Did it repeat? It did. It repeated. I can graph my u. -5, 0. -4 is down 2. -3 is at 0. Should it make a V shape or a U shape? What shape have they been making? They've been making a U shape. If you want help to guide, I can plug in a -2. -2 would be at 6, which means -6 would also be at 6 if I want help graphing the parabola. Vertex, y-intercept, x-intercept. Where's the vertex? -4, -2. Y-intercept. Is it on my graph? Does not fit on my graph. Can I find it in my table?
Yeah.
Yep. All I need to do is plug a 0 in and see where 0 is at. 0 is at 30. When I plug it in, So when it is not on your graph, you just plug a 0 in, and that is where your y-intercept will be. X-intercepts. I have one at -5 and one at -3. They appear on my graph and they appear in my table if I have a table off to the side. Bless you. Bless you. Last question. X, Y. My biggest number is a 3. So I'm going to start with -3 and go to +3. See if I can graph that parabola. When I graph it, in my equation I have a negative, parenthesis, plug in, then a -3, close, open another set, plug in my -3, plus a 1, close. That gives me -12. Change the 3 to a -2. -1. There's an intercept. 0, 1, 2, oh, I have a repeat. What will 3 be at? If it repeats here, it goes 4. There's our 3s. That means it will be a 0 next. I can repeat and not plug it in. When I graph it, -2 is down 5. -1's at 0. 0's up 3. 1 is up 4. 2 is up 3. And then I can match the rest if I want to. That's weird. Why would this graph open down and the other one's opened up? This is the only one that went down. Yeah, true.
Because it's negative.
Yeah, perfect. It's negative in front. That's why it went down. All the rest were positives. Good. Vertex, y-intercept, x-intercept. Vertex. Does anybody have it written in already?
1 negative or 1 4.
Yes, good. 1, 4 is my vertex. Okay, y-intercept. Does anybody have that one written in already that they can see?
3 0 3.
Is it 0, 3 or 3, 0? We sometimes get it mixed up. Are you mixed up or do you have it correct?
That's right. 0 3.
Good. 0, 3 is correct. And x-intercepts. You can pull it from the graph or the table. It doesn't matter which one. As long as you get, yep, -1, 0, and 30. Perfect. So you can apply this method to all of the equations we've done previously in other assignments if you want. Last questions, we just have 2 ACT practice questions. It says best friends, John and Elliot, are throwing javelins. The height of John's javelin is described as this function. And the height of Elliot's javelin is described as this one's function, where if x is the horizontal distance from the origin of the thrown javelin, whose javelin goes higher? What did we do on the page just before when we had equations like that?
The bigger number starts the table.
Okay, let's make a table. Let's try it. X, Y. This one has a 4. So I'm going to go okay. Now if I plug in numbers and they are really big and there's not a pattern, then something might be wrong. Not wrong, but we can skip numbers. So I'm going to plug in here. Then I'm going to plug in something -4. So I have a negative x. And then I have a lot of -4s. Change it to a -3. 2. 1. 0. 1. 2. 3. What will 4 be at without plugging in? Okay, this was John. Now we're going to check Elliot. What do you notice about the negative values?
But they're negative.
They're all negative. And if I'm looking for a height, am I going to have a negative height? So I'm going to start from 0 on this one, because I don't need any of those negative numbers for a height. -2, there's an x right by it. Then in my parentheses, I have an x -6. I'm going to plug in a 0 where both of the x's were located. Change it to a 1. Change it to a 2. 3. And a 4. It repeats. I can fill in 5 and 6. Who has the highest javelin? Who threw it the highest? We don't have to graph it, just compare the tables. Who's went higher? Elliot's. Elliot's went higher because its maximum height was 18. What was John's maximum height? 4. Maximum height was 4. Last ACT question, where does the following equation intercept the x-axis? I'm going to build a table again. What would make a +4 a negative? Or go away to 0? -4, -3, -2. We'll plug in. -4 with a +4. -4 with a +3 is 0. Then I plug a -3 in. That's also 0. I plug a -2. I don't even have to plug these in because what are the two x-intercepts?
-4, -3.
Done. Right. You have the rest of class to work on assignments.